So despite not having the best season ever, it seems that Pep Guardiola has figured it all out, with players like Marmoush coming in and having a big impact, and this 4-2-3-1 that he has finally settled on, the tactic absolutely cooks. So I've remade it inside of FM24, an updated version almost. If you do enjoy, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. And once again, if you are interested in seeing some live streams over on here, some good news, because we are going to be live streaming Saving Manchester United, but on YouTube, so you haven't got to go to any other platform. We're going to be directly here. Be sure to leave a comment below how well you think that's going to go, but let's go over and test with, well, his current team. So then the first team is going to be Manchester City, obviously over in England, and we enjoyed a fantastic season. And as you can probably tell, their star man up front also enjoyed quite the good season as well, with just 87 goals. I mean, it is Erling Haaland, he is one of the better strikers in the game. De Bruyne enjoyed a great season as well across all competitions with 45 assists. Now, in terms of the league, we only lose one game, that being against Liverpool, a very tough opposition, who do actually finish second, but I will say, nowhere near us, so they weren't really a direct threat. Now, in terms of the rest of the cups, we're going to go through all of them today because we won literally everything we possibly could have won. We win the Community Shield 2-1 over Manchester United, the Carabao Cup 5-1 over Burnley. Credit for them to even getting there. We're going to beat United again 3-1 in another FA Cup final, which another final, not another FA Cup final. I tell you what, United, they've bottled every chance they've had so far. The Super Cup 3-1 over Sevilla, and the Champions League, the big one, we're going to just about scrape at 1-0 over Real Madrid. Now, in terms of the team stats, we are going to be incredibly dominant. 136 goals, tons of shots, hardly any shots against us. Possession, very, very competitive with 60%. Most dribbles, fewest conceded, and the most clean sheets. And to go on side of 6 trophies, incredible stat lines. Look at that for a data hub. 3.58 goals a game, nearly a 90% pass completion, a good amount of shots, and very few conceded. For me, apart from the one loss against Liverpool, that one loss is the only thing stopping me from saying this is a perfect season. Everyone's performing, the trophies are there, the stats are there. Perfection. And I've picked the game with the most goals, really, so we are going to watch a 7-0 win against Leicester, because I want you to actually understand and see where the goals come from. Now, I know we are putting Man City up against Leicester, so there's bound to be a fair few goals before I see that comment, but this is purely just to show you how the play is done and how this tactic does achieve us goals, because you can already see a bit of inverting going on there from Rico Lewis, and Haaland almost linking up the play for a very forward Kevin De Bruyne, who is going to make it 2-0 inside of 30 minutes. We're then going to have a set piece from Guvardio into Rodrigo, back into Guvardio, very confident on the ball, great pass and play. This is the only way you're going to get this. I mean, it is absolutely fantastic play. The great thing about this system is the fact that Guvardio and also the likes of Rico Lewis do push forward a little bit and get involved, and it is so good, especially when you see Guvardio taking up spaces like that and striking it like that. That is absolutely fantastic, because not every team can do this, so it's nice to see him really coming into his own. Marmoush, of course, getting game time on the left-hand side, playing it through into De Bruyne. Great to see he has actually had an impact in this game as well as real life. Obviously, he did bag the hat-trick the other day in real life, so I did lock him into the team, I will be honest. Bernardo is going to put a ball in, and again, reminder, time and time again, make sure you go on over to that Patreon and get the set pieces, because they give me easily 10-15 goals a season. They are so broken. And now we've got Ruben Diaz going alone into Haaland. What a game. We're then going to go over and test with a previous team that he did manage in Bayern Munich. And again, a very, very strong season. Not as crazy when it comes to the stat lines in terms of a striker. Harry Kane still does score 40, which is remarkable, just to clarify. We only lose one game, that being against VfB Stuttgart, who finish... Where do they finish? Am I being blind? In 6th place. So, unfortunately, not the 100% win rate season, but as good as achieving it. One loss is literally the only thing you can really do, or drawing a game, I suppose. We are also going to win the Pokal 4-1 over RB Leipzig and just genuinely dominate the league. I mean, possession, we're going to be rank 1, goals, shots, most dribbles. Defensively, there is literally no one near us in either regard. We are absolutely faultless. And the data hub, again, is going to be a little bit better in terms of the goals scored by 0.10, a lot better defensively. Pass completions better. Shots per game's better. Of course, this is not as a competitive league compared to the Premier League, so that does make up for the differences in the stat lines. But do you know what? The only thing we didn't win was the Champions League, which we wouldn't have won anyway because we faced ourselves. So we won everything we technically could. And that's all you can ask for. Now over to that game against Leipzig in the DFB Pokal, a very, very tough competition. And I tell you what, you wouldn't think so, because we get off to a great start there with Sane into Harry Kane, who is going to make it 1-0 inside of 17 minutes. We are then going to go over again, a ball in the box, a bit more direct this time. I believe Gnabry does actually knock that down. It falls to Ito on the left-hand side, plenty of space. No one really closing him down. A bit of a lucky goal, to be honest with you, but I'm not going to complain. I'm going to take it. And we actually go on to lead this final 3-0. Now, Leipzig really didn't turn up at all this game. Sane is going to cut it back, I believe, eventually. And there's endless players. And how about that for a finish? From Jamal Musiala, a great finish from him. Obviously, Kane probably would have wanted it. This is their only goal of the game from a Pender, which was a penalty. You can't really do too much about conceding a penalty. Harry Kane linking up the play in that complete forward role and eventually driving at the back line as well. And I think will get his goal. Great from Kane. Then go over to, again, another team you think of when you think of Pep, and probably, if you want to be technical, the most disappointing set of results, because we weren't as dominant in the league compared to the other two. We still got the job done by quite a fair few points. We also do win the Spanish Super Cup 2-1 over Real Madrid, but we go out in the 4th round against Zaragoza in the Spanish Cup, for example. The Champions League, a very early exit, but we still do manage to take home a lot of the stat lines. In fact, all of the stat lines bar 3, so we're not going to complain. The possession's there, the goals are there, but for some reason, and I'm a bit confused about this, we didn't score as many goals as what I thought. They have got some really good attacking players, Barcelona, but we just didn't quite hit the ground running. In fact, almost a goal less per game, so I feel like we may have had more of the possession control factor in this league. It is known to be a bit of a slower paced league, so maybe that is what it is, but overall, we still take home 2 trophies. We've won the league. I guess it's not too bad. And of course, we're going to watch a game with some goals in because we want to see some action. And this is going to be a 5-0 win against Villarreal, with Christiansen finding Frankie de Jong inside the box and lashing it into the bottom left-hand corner. A great finish from him. And I tell you what, that was definitely not the only goal of the game. Koundé is going to touch it down into de Jong on the edge of the box. Plenty of space. And again, always going to have good passing options. And that's as quick tiki-taka as you were ever going to see. A great bit of play, almost impossible to stop. The finish as well, absolutely immaculate. Nothing Lewis Jr. could do with that one. Christiansen over the top into Gerard Martin. A ball in the box into Lewandowski, who I will say, I am a bit disappointed in, because usually he outscores Kane for me, but he didn't this season. He was a bit slow towards the start of the season, sort of come into the system later on. And again, in terms of the zip-zap passing, it's essentially impossible to stop. You see how quick the passes are being made. No team can defend against this. It is absolutely broken. With Dani Olmo, that is a great way to find some space. Yeah, that's what you get with Olmo. That's what they paid for. But now over to your favourite part of the video. That is going to be the tactic breakdown. If you are enjoying, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. And once again, if you do enjoy rebuilds, make sure you come on over to the second channel, which is going to be Daily Josh. So my name flipped around is also going to be in the description, because we post a rebuild once every 2 to 3 days. We are also going to be back live streaming, but this time exclusively on the YouTube platform. So you've got to go nowhere. It's going to be live. You're going to see it pop up, and we are going to be rebuilding Manchester United live, hopefully using an Amorim tactic as well. But let's go over and make this tactic. So you simply want to go over and load in a create your own style. It is going to be a clean slate, because we sort of build the tiki-taka style based off the instructions that we set. So just a clean slate for now, and of course load in a 4-2-3-1. Firstly, the big change you want to do is go right down to the bottom left and go from balanced all the way up to positive, because we do play quite an attacking style of football, as you would know if you have watched Man City. Now, this tactic, obviously we have done a 4-2-3-1 before, but it is going to be quite different. They have changed their approach quite a fair bit, and a lot of it does come up the pitch, so expect some changes when we get to that area. But first of all, we are of course going to operate with a sweeper keeper, who is going to be set to attack. Ederson is not shy to come out of the box, not shy to head the ball away, even try and get quite progressive with his passing. So we are going to have the sweeper keeper, and by default he will dribble more, and he will also take more risks, so he definitely doesn't need any more instructions. Going over to the right back, of course it is going to be an inverted option. It is going to be an inverted wing back on support, and he's going to have one instruction that is going to be get further forwards. Now, Rico Lewis recently has occupied this position. Before, of course, it was Kyle Walker, other people as well, but Rico Lewis, especially in this game really suits this role well. So I would say if you are playing as Man City, don't go and spend money on a new right back, because he will grow and he is a great option to play in that role. And him getting forwards helped us out big time. We are then going to operate with 2 ball-playing defenders. Now on the left-hand side, we are simply going to have a default ball-playing defender. And on the right-hand side, we are going to have another ball-playing defender, but we are going to have it set to dribble more. Now, for me, I like to have Ruben Diaz in this role. You can also use players like John Stones. Essentially, you just want one of them being a little bit more sort of free when it comes to dribbling with the ball, and the other one simply set to the default. And for me, the preference was to have him on the right hand side. Going over to the left back, we are going to use a fullback on support, and he's going to have 3 instructions. Those are going to be shoot less often, get forwards, and also sit narrow. So he is going to operate almost like an inverted role. You saw it in the highlights as Guardiol was playing in this role. He will play like an inverted fullback, but just because I didn't really want the inverted fullback there, we've used a fullback, told him to sit narrow and push forwards, and he will run sort of in this channel here and almost match that space there. So it is a very good way of having the exact same thing as an inverted option without being forced to use the role. Now going over to the midfield, we are going to use one anchor who is going to be on the left hand side, and of course that naturally is going to make him a defensive player, and by default he'll be shooting less, dribbling less, taking fewer risks, and also holding position. So he is going to be a very risk-free option in that sort of DM role, and again just a good player to lap up the balls, and that is going to be Rodri that played in that role. And next to him, because we have got quite a defensive option, we are going to use a roaming playmaker, and he is going to have some instructions consisting of dribbling more and also moving into the channels. Bernardo Silva actually played this role quite well. Of course, there are other players in the team you can use in this role as well, but these sort of pairing in midfield here did work really, really well. You've got a defensive player and a player that will roam and play make, as it says on the tin, and it is a really, really good combo. I do want to quickly say at this part of the video, if you are interested in getting all of these wonderful perks, including access to all 3 of the tactics today, get them on Xbox, PlayStation, and on mobile, all my rebuild files, one-on-one tactical help, and so much more, you've still got time to enter this month's massive giveaway. You can come over and check out the Patreon, which is going to be in the description below, where you can be part of a team of over 5,100 people. There's a massive group chat over there. We always talk about FM, and also the live streams are going to be going on there, so you can choose where you want to watch it. If you watch it on Patreon, you're going to get ad-free viewing as well, so there's a ton of bonuses. Make sure you go on over and get involved. But that out the way, let's carry on and talk about the rest of the tactics. So on the left hand side, now this is where I will say City have quite changed, because before it was all about just short passing, no real, get it into the box approach, none of that really going on. Things have changed since our little dip in form, and now I like to, this is the best way I can really describe their wingers, because I personally have got them on, firstly, cross far post, because they always do the diagonal cross from one side to the other, so obviously the winger can get onto it, or even Haaland can get onto them. They always do that in their attack and play, especially when it comes to getting the ball into the box. But also, the wingers are going to be looking to cut inside, get forwards, and also roam from their position. The Man City wingers, in my opinion now, are pretty much like your ultimate winger. The traditional winger would get forward, put the ball in the box. Man City have got that modern twist where they are going to cut in with the ball. Of course, you see Savinho do it quite a fair bit. He'll cut in with the ball, get into this area here, and sometimes have a shot, or sometimes go right to the byline and get the ball in. So that is why we've also got cut inside on. We are therefore going to do exactly the same for the left-hand side. So get forward, cut inside, far post, and also roam from position. And both of these players doing it, Doku, Savino, it is absolutely impossible to defend against it. Through the midfield, this is of course where De Bruyne plays. We are going to use the AM on attack, and we are going to have him on 3 instructions, I believe. Take more risks, roam, and also move into the channels. He had a faultless season, so I really would not change any single instruction. And lastly, we are going to use the complete forward, because I will say, I believe in my last tactic, we did have Haaland as a poacher. We will quickly put the instructions on, by the way, as tackle harder and shoot more often. But now he is doing more of a complete roll up front. So we are going to change it and add in a complete forward. I believe I got some comments on my previous video about that anyway, so they should be happy this is changed. Now going over to the actual team instructions, we are going to operate and go down to a fairly narrow attacking width, work ball into the box, low crosses, focus through the middle while playing out from the back, be more expressive. The tempo remains in the middle, but the passing goes down by 1, which therefore brings the tempo down to standard. In transition, we're going to counter press and play to anyone across the back line with no favoured distribution type. And lastly, out of possession, we are going to go in with the high press, the much higher defensive line, trap outside, step up more, prevent short goalkeeper distribution, and lastly, a nice and simple maxed out trigger press. Now I have gone over to the effort to make an attacking version for you as well. We'll show that first. This is basically designed if you are a goal down or you're going in against a really weak team. You want to try and stat pad, or maybe you're in an aggregate game and you're going in a goal down anyway. This will get you the goals that you need. So the goalkeeper and the back line in terms of the centre backs do remain the same. In fact, the entire back line does remain completely unchanged. From there, pretty much everything changes. So the DM comes in opposed to the anchor. Again, he will help defend, but he is also told to get forwards and also tackle harder. The Volante comes in on take more risks, dribble more and move into the channels. On attack, so again, a big attack and change in the team. The winger on the right and on the left are both now on attack. On cross aim far post, cut in and roam, a big attack and change. And the AM and the complete forward do remain exactly the same. So a big change in the midfield, a big change on the wing, and it's not the only change because we are now going to go all the way up to attacking when it comes to mentality. This remains the same. The low crosses also remains the same. Work ball into the box, focus through the middle, play out of defense. If you want to, you could also add underlapping runs. For me, I personally didn't. The tempo goes up by 1 with the passing remaining the same, and we are also going to be set to be more expressive. In transition, we're going to counter press and still play to the back line. Because we are in a bit of a rush, we're trying to score goals, we are going to add on distribute quickly. And lastly, out of possession, we're going to go in with the much higher defensive line with that high press, a maxed out trigger press, prevent short goalkeeper distribution, get stuck in to be a little bit more aggressive, step up more, and of course also trap outside. Now you got a sneak glimpse of it, but we have also made a defensive version. Now this is used for smaller teams, so if you're sort of under a top 6 standard, I would go in with this tactic, or if you're trying to seal out a game, you could also use this. So it's got 2 purposes, so make sure you use it for whatever one you're going to be suitable for. Now, the goalkeeper and the ball players do remain exactly the same. The inverted wingback goes to defend on the right, and on the left-hand side, we've got a fullback on defend, on shoot less and sit narrow. The anchor comes back in on the left, on tackle harder. The DM comes back in on the right, but a big change of instructions. Take fewer risks, shoot less, hold position, and also tackle harder. The winger on the right and on the left are going to come back on support, but they are going to be fairly different. So they are going to be passing it short, cutting inside, shooting less, getting forwards and roaming. The same on the left is going to be the same on the right. The AM comes in, but back on support, pass it short, shoot less, roam, move into the channels, and the complete forward simply is now on the default. So you can probably tell from this 3 here, it's much more of a possession-based tactic. None of this getting the ball into the far post. Control the game, control the possession, and really get a feel for the game, which is why we're going to go back to using that positive mentality. We're going to go down to fairly narrow. We're going to operate with the low crosses, work the ball into the box. This good stuff remains the same, but this is where you're going to see the tactic change quite a fair bit, because we go down by 1 to slightly lower for the first time, and the passing goes all the way down to much shorter. In transition, we're going to counter press. When the ball's been lost, we want to win it back, but then when we've got the ball, when it's been won, we're going to hold our shape, control the game, slow the pace down, play to anyone across the back line, and lastly, out of possession, again a real big change. We're going to drop to the higher line, trap outside, step up more, prevent short goalkeeper distribution, mainly for Haaland to be honest, and also hit that trigger press to much more often. And that's going to give you 3 versions of Pep's 4-2-3-1, his latest system, which to be fair, has really got him back on track. Marmoush is not only adapting to it, he is thriving in it. Every player seems to finally have been waking up, so fair play to him for recovering that. And honestly, a ton of fun to play with in the game as well. If you have enjoyed, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. Once again, be sure to stay tuned for the live streams coming up, because I'm going to do them on here because I feel like it saves people going over to different platforms, whether that be Twitch or Kick. You can just see me on here, and also you can also just watch the past streams. So you're not going to miss anything, even if you're not directly there. So hopefully you are interested in that, because we're going to try and save United. Now, It's not going to be an easy job, but we'll see what happens. I'll see you in the next one. Enjoy the rest of your day.